I'm sure it's worth the money. I just spent a lot of money on a new PC monitor, a bunch of. Oh, hey, listen. It's all good. It's all good. I understand how that is. Um, just out of curiosity, I mean, I don't know what you picked up, which is cool. I've been running this system for about a year at this point. I'm running an AMD 5900X, 64 gigs of RAM, NVMe drive, 2 gigs. Doing the PCI Express. I ended up picking up a AMD 7900 XTX because one, I would have gone NVIDIA, but they were having problems with the power connector, and I wasn't going to spend money and have it fry on me. Two, price. But I wanted the AV1, and my graphics card died, so I kind of needed it. Plus 24 gigs. I knew the way things are going. Game developers have said they want 24 or 32 gigs of RAM, and that was the quickest, cheapest way to get to something somewhat close. And they're already having problems with. I went the Intel road. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. Cool question though. What Intel processor did you buy? Just out of curiosity. Just trying to protect you if you did. It's important. There's been a recent issue with some Intels. I want to make sure your system stays good. Because I follow all the tech stuff. Okay, but what model of i9? It's important. Did you get a 14th gen? 14th gen? Oh, you need to be careful, my friend. Yeah, you better double check that. There's been discussions that the 14th gen i9s have been failing. There was issues with the 12. Let me get talking here. Let me mute this so you can hear me properly. Listen. High-end 14th gen is just the souped-up powered version of the 13th gen. They crank the voltage in the megahertz on it, but it's an issue because it's based off Alder Lake, which is 12th gen. And they were concerned back then that too much voltage was going to cause it to fry what's called the ring bus and cause degradation in the actual processors. There's big brouhaha going around about this, and they haven't done a recall yet. Just be mindful of that, because especially if it's the K models or whatnot, that could be an issue. If you look on like Hardware Unbox or Gamer Nexus or various things, you're gonna, if you look out there on YouTube, you'll find them talking about this stuff. Be very careful about that. There's supposedly supposed to be a microcode that came out or is coming out mid-August that's supposed to fix it, but I don't know. There's also concerns that there was a contamination in the factory where they made these chips between March and June. And the guy who went in and said, this one's good, that one's good, that was higher up, he's left the company. So be careful, please. I don't have very good. You could reach out to Intel and see what could be done with an RMA or various other things. The problem is, it might be fine. It's hard to say, but I just want you to be mindful of it. Don't overclock it. But that might not be sufficient enough either. And also, if you can, in the motherboard, run the default like settings. There's all these. They screwed up all the power settings on the motherboards for defaults, and that might cause issues. Because they were overclock. The motherboard manufacturer were overvolting and overclocking the things out of the box, and yeah, might have to go. Just look in the settings, update your BIOS to your motherboard, clock it to the Intel default or whatever it is, and hopefully that's good enough for now. And just be careful, because it's an issue. And unfortunately, 15th gen isn't out for a while, which is an issue. And maybe they won't have those issues. We're hoping to hear something maybe the beginning of January or 2025, but I'm not entirely sure. So just a heads up on that, okay? Well, that's it can, but the problem is if you run too low a voltage, you'll have stability issues and it'll crash. And that's part of the problem is um they need to update what's called the microcode. Intel hasn't put out proper voltage stuff 100% and what it's supposed to do to try to keep things in check. You can do the best you can by hitting the default setting and update the motherboard and then run the default profile, if you will, from Intel. I'd have to look to see what it is. That'll help. That'll help turn down the voltage and everything else. But it may potentially still not be enough. I'm not entirely sure. I do know that they're talking about if you have issues that you should reach out to Intel for RMA service and things like that. I just want you to be aware of that because it's an issue. It's bad, unfortunately. I don't think I've ever seen an Intel product have that kind of issue, to be honest with you. I think what it was is they rushed out the product and they didn't do all the checks they're supposed to do because they were threatened by AMD, and it did not go well because they didn't have that problem with Alder Lake. Alder Lake was solid, and 13th gen, I think most were okay, though 13 gen like i9Ks, they're sort of maybe potentially having some voltage issues because they're running on the same like code and everything else like that. But the problem is the 14th gen dumps that much more voltage and frequency on it, which is a problem. Listen, I can tell you right now, brand new Ryzen is coming out mid-August. We're talking the 9000 series processors. That's going to be faster, more efficient, and things like that. Yes, it might not have as many cores as what Intel has, but again, if you go with the 16 core, it's okay because you're hyper-threading, or not hyper-threading, they call it something else. But they also have better motherboards, and they're going to be supporting 8000 megahertz RAM with the new motherboards that are going to be coming out. Plus, not mega August, but like they haven't done a full announcement. I think it's like September-ish. They're going to come out with a 3D cache variants, which, by the way, will be overclockable, will run faster without issue, and they might fix the failing of the last 3D cache 16 core, which they'd put 3D cache on the performance cores, and then they had they don't have performance cores, E-cores. They had cache on one and non-cache on the other, and it had problems between, I'm gonna run the game, I want to run the faster cores, but you want to run the cache, and then when you're doing like media workloads, like you're editing video and stuff like that, it would choose the wrong thing again, and it's just like, oh geez. The next one, I think they're going to be doing cache on both sets of cores, so it's going to be even across the board. But yeah, I mean, if you just got it and haven't built it, and you really don't need it right this second, dude, I would totally wait. I would totally I'm just saying, if you got the graphics card, and all that stuff, keep that. That's fine. And in the drive and the power supply, the case, all that stuff, that's cool. But I'm just giving you a heads up on that because, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. But enough of me yapping about tech. I do apologize on that. I mean, hey, look, I'll talk all night. It's all good. It's not a big deal. But I know how that is. Trust me. And honestly, it's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. I have not seen Intel have this kind of problems before. Oh yes, I've been building PCs since 1997. So yeah. Well, if you can't tell, let me I've water cooled my. I don't know if you can see it as well if I do this. Here, you can get a better look. So, 7900 XTX vertical mount, water block. Got a water block. It's an Optimus. I don't know if I can turn that a little bit here. Got an Optimus. It's a Chicago-based company. Water block and whatnot. Pulling my 5900X. That I can reuse on the newer processors that are coming out, which is cool. This one's not working. I got to replace it. It's a flow meter and also tells me the temp. I got 64 gigs of RAM. I have a little LCD screen here where I can display things. I'm not doing it just a second. And of course, my water pumps here and everything else like that. And then in here, you can't really see it. I have my Elgato 4K Pro capture card, so I can get the higher resolution capture. And I have a 10 gigabit fiber card. Going to a fiber switch, going to a fiber port on my Asus router, which is a 1 gig connection to file. So yeah, I'm doing a few things. Oh, and I have a NAS to store stuff on. That's another thing. Make sure you got some type of storage solution, because I'm gonna tell you right now, you're gonna come up with a bunch of video, and you're gonna need a place to dump it because you're gonna run out of storage real quick. And external hard drives, they're great to start, but yeah, you trust me. That's okay. You've been pushing the thing. Well, like if you already have it and you've already been pushing it like that, it's probably already too late. I should have. Well, okay. There's a difference between pushing it hard and not, right? If you're using that to stream and play the games on the machine, maybe. If you're playing the PC games on it, maybe. If you're just doing this, well, rendering might push it too. Hard to say depending on how they do the workloads, because they might spread the workload over all the cores. So it's hard to say what it'll do. Just keep an eye on it. Save all the time, and if you start to see some weird wonkiness, it's probably your processor, just so you know. But I would upgrade your BIOS as soon as possible, and if you haven't done that before, learn how to do it. It's not too bad. Just be careful. Make sure you don't turn off the power when it's updating, and switch to that default BIOS just to make sure you don't have any problems, to mitigate it a little bit. Oh, trust me, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's years and years of me gathering stuff, getting things ready. That took about 2 weeks to do all the hard tube bending and whatnot. Also, just a tip: water cooling is nice, but it can be a pain. One of the issues with it is don't be running any of those opaque fluids. If you do, I've seen it enough with J2 that it'll gunk up the stuff and just be an utter mess. Whereas I'm running distilled water with a special dye in it to keep it from getting mold or various other things in it, and then just some colored dye, and it's fine. It'll last longer. So, but yeah, just keep an eye on your stuff, man. Just you got to be careful, because that stuff is, a problem. And I wish it wasn't. I really, I want Intel to be successful, because AMD could easily go down the path of being complacent and not do much, but I know that's not the case with them. In case you're wondering, with Intel it's called Beast Lake, and I think it's gonna be Ryzen 6. AMD and Intel are gonna start doing lots more cores, performance cores. Intel's been somewhat limited, and that's why you've been seeing the most performance cores you get is like 8, and everything else is efficiency cores. Whereas AMD has found a way to do performance cores, and then they found a way to shrink performance cores and like do more density, just running at a slightly, and I do mean slightly, lower speed, which is pretty impressive, where they literally can double the amount of cores on a chip. Yeah, my other PC, my biggest problem was when I was doing podcasts on Discord, streaming the video call, when I would share my screen to the other podcasters' show or picture, frame would drop. Yeah, I could totally see that. To give you an idea, though, how beastly I was doing this, I was running Starfield ultra wide, 1340 by 1440p resolution, and was using the onboard encoders, and I was streaming to Twitch. I had to downgrade it to 1080p at the time because I don't believe Rumble was accepting it. They were only accepting 1080p, and I was also streaming to Kick at the same time, all on this PC. But when it comes to Discord, I'm not entirely sure. That could be weird. I don't know if that's you'd have to see how it's loading. If it's a problem with, how it's loading the processors, or if it was more of a like a setting. Like one of the things I had to dial in and work with on Twitch and some of the other ones is making sure you up the bitrate as high as you can to maintain the quality, because if not, you can have problems. Also, I found drop frames is when you basically have overloaded the either the processor or the codec on the graphics card that's doing the work. That's what I found. Like right now, mind you, I'm not running anything on this PC right now. I'm doing all those streams, and I am... Where's it at? Did it disappear on me? I've dropped exactly 0 frames at this point, and I'm running 6.4 bitrate right now is what I'm doing, which is pretty good. So, I don't know also how much of that is your internet connection, right? Like my actual PC, what I'm seeing on the monitors, the way my mouse moves. Oh, you mean like, oh, I got you what you're saying. Well, let me see. What am I looking at here? Okay. So right now, just to give you an idea, my CPU is, I want to say 26% of my processors being used. My network is 30, 40, 39, 42 megabytes a second, just, for what I'm running. And then memory, I'm running about 13 gigs of memory, which isn't much. Where's my graphics card? Is it on here? I think, guess it doesn't have that. But that's the other thing, is what kind of graphics card are you running? Well, that's the other thing, is the resolution that you're running makes a huge difference. If you're running a 4K monitor, there's that many more pixels it's got to like run and refresh, and depending on if you combine that with 4K and a high refresh, that's like stressing it a whole lot. It depends on what resolution you're trying to push out there. Are you doing 1080p, 1440? Like that's what I'm doing for the PlayStation. It's not ultra wide, right? But I do ultra wide for like Overwatch and whenever I do PC games. You need to have a certain amount of bitrate or it's just going to tank hard. So example, let's see here. What am I running? Let's see here. Yes, I'm running like 6100 for Rumble and for Twitch. Kick, they only accept 1080p, and I'm running about a 6000 bit rate, which is probably way more than it honestly needs, but it just, why not, right? But yeah, RAM I'm not using much. I'm only using like 13 gigs. It has a lot to work with, but it really depends on where your bottleneck potentially could be, because is it the processor? Is it the codecs that you're trying to leverage? Depending on what type of graphics card you have. Please have a GeForce 360. I got a new one, 4070. Okay, here's a key thing. Are you strictly using the 4070 as your streaming PC, or are you also trying to play games on it? Because one of the things you're going to run into is with the 4070, it only has 12 gigs of RAM. And that's pretty much with recent games is almost the bare minimum which you need to be able to run games. 8 gigs, you're going to have a lot of problems, especially from the get-go when a game releases. And don't even think about doing ray tracing. If you're trying to do ray tracing, that ups the amount of actual RAM you need, which like will really hamper you in that regard. This guy, he's got 24 gigs. Now, am I using it all? No, but that makes a difference, right? But if you're just doing like video streaming podcast type stuff, that should be fine. It just depends on what resolution you're pushing out there, right? And realistically, it should be limited to what you have for your camera, right? My camera right here, I'm borrowing a DSLR, but any other webcam, I'm running 1080p, right? So I don't need to run crazy resolution. If you're just doing a talking thing and you're doing stuff, you wouldn't need much. Stream games is fun, even on the other PC with the GeForce 360. Well, here's the thing. If you have two PCs, right? It's different. Because all the load for the streaming and doing the codecs and all that stuff is on that streaming PC. The gaming PC, it's whatever you need to do to run the game, right? I was doing that all on this and nothing else. There is no other PC. So I was playing Starfield Ultra Wide on this and streaming 3 different sources live. So it's a little bit different. And, you know, some of the GeForces with the NVENC encoder, you can really do that with pretty much no hit. The 360, if you got the right model, had 12 gigs of RAM, which is good. But the 4070 is definitely a step up from the 3060. Definitely, performance-wise. I mean, you just have to look at things and see where your bottleneck is. You know, look at, if you have another screen or something you can pull up, look to see, you know, is the GPU maxed out all the way? Usually if you max out your encoders, it'll tell you, not going to work. You got to cut it back, right? CPU, you should be able to see if you're loading it too much. One, you can see the percentage, you know, are you hitting 100%? Or you can even look to see is like, how is it spreading load over the multiple cores using Task Manager? So, hey, listen, don't feel bad. You should see my first streams. They look horrible because I was running the 264-bit encoder. Yeah, I had audio issues because I had echo going on because I have an Elgato piece here, and I was getting audio from not only the microphone but also from like my desktop PC audio, so it was causing issues. Yeah, well, the thing was, even after I was done sharing my screen while in a video call, we're done with the Discord call, done streaming. Well, okay. That's different, okay? A couple of things you need to understand. When you're done, you're like, I want to play games, and it's just like, I'm done with doing that, and you're having issues. Unfortunately, game launchers can eat up a lot of resources. Other things is, it's quite possible you stop the call, but there could be a memory, like really bad software, where it'll just use more memory and it should, and it doesn't fully quit the game, and really should. You may need to like make sure certain things are closed out, or if it's really an issue, you know, update your drivers, update all the software. If that's still an issue, update the BIOS, and if that's still an issue, you could try like rebooting your PC, see if that makes an issue, fixes some stuff, because that'll kick stuff out of memory. Yeah, exactly. You'd be surprised, man, how much crap. Heck, even some of the RGB software, you get a bunch of that going, that they've tested, it can make a hit on performance. Not great, but Epic Launcher, Steam Launcher, you know, all the different launchers, they can take a performance hit because they're trying to do stuff in the background, which is kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, this is just something you learn over time, and you figure out, okay, what do I need to close? What do I need to do? Like, I figured out after the fact, I was trying to get really aggressive and get YouTube in here too. I ran out of resources. Mind you, I do have a 12-core part and hyper threads, if you will, but that's still not enough. Still not enough. So I want to get the 16-core part at least, but I'm purposely waiting until the next generation of AMD 3D chips come out. I mean, you could go non-3D, because there's a weird issue with memory on some of the early ones, and you never usually try to pick up the first generation of the motherboard. Let them work out the issues. And why don't you try Rumble Studio? I'm running Rumble right now. See, what I'm doing is I'm running OBS, and with a plugin that I have, that some guy came up with. I forget what it's called. It allows me to do multiple stream outputs from my PC. Now, there's another way you can do it where you upload one stream and then you pay for a service and it'll multi-stream stuff out. But the way I have it now, I have Rumble Studio up here. I have, because I have an ultra wide, I have Kick over here, and I have Twitch over here. So I can watch all 3 streams at once and see all the chats without issue, which is great. I also have I'm running everything through OBS, basically. So I hit start streaming on primary on Twitch, and then I have the other ones for Rumble and Kick. And if I wanted to, I had YouTube at one point. And the cool thing about that is once I hit one for Twitch, I hit the other one, and it'll start the other 3 streams right away. And I can also stop it the same way. So I'm doing all of it, honestly. Though, Rumble's been interesting because it's been growing lately. And it's because I'm streaming, honestly. Because I was putting up videos and whatnot, but since I wasn't streaming on it, there was no discoverability at all on Rumble, which is weird. And I wish they would. I mean, they're working on things, but oh yeah, I'm on Kick too. Though I only have 13 followers on there right now. You need like 75 to get monetized over there. The difference is Rumble's kind of like a hybrid between Twitch and YouTube, if you will. Because not only do you have the streaming content portion of it, but then they also have the video storage if you just want to upload like edited videos and whatnot. So I end up doing both. Yes. Yes, it is. So, tell you what. I'll show you what's going on. Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong thing. Sorry. Hold on. Wrong button. Oh, I can't do it because it's a different resolution. I don't want to jack up the stream. But no. The reason why I do OBS is because I have a lot more options to do various things, and it integrates well with. I have a Steam Deck. Steam Deck Plus, to be specific, the one with the knobs. And so I have scenes set up here and whatnot. And in those scenes, I have different profiles for different settings. So I have a 1080p, I have a 1440p, and I have an ultra wide. And if I wanted to down the line, I could have a 4K. And so what I do is I have these quick set buttons. And so I can hit boom, sets up my streams, pulls up all the browser tabs, sets up my lights because I have Elgato lights. And opens up my OBS and does all that stuff. Then I go in, I have folders here, and I can hit for the various resolution of streams. And when I hit setup for those, it changes the profile in OBS. So that way I'm at the right resolution for my streams, and it's all good. You can use Rumble Studio with OBS now. I think okay. The thing with OBS, by default, you can only stream to one source. So your only real option is either you stream to Rumble, you stream to Kick, you stream to Twitch, you stream to YouTube, right? Your other option is you point it to something that'll like splinter it out to multiple different things. The plugin I have, I'm rendering everything natively on this PC, meaning nothing's going out to a web service I have to pay for. It's all natively done right here. It's just a software thing. And the cool thing is what I'm doing is I'm using for Rumble and Kick, I'm rendering this video like what you're watching right now. That's running off my CPU. That's not running off my GPU. I technically have Twitch running on one of my codexes on my graphics card, and then I'm recording a high quality AV1 video encoding on my PC. So that way when the stream's done, I have a nice big fat juicy video file that I can edit down and have to put up to YouTube and Rumble. So, but I appreciate the suggestion on that. Though, what I'd really like to see Rumble do, I'd like it if Rumble would actually update their web app for like phones and for TVs. They are missing so many features compared to the website. You can't do playlists at all on those apps, and so it's kind of a pain. Whereas on the web browser, you know, there's playlists there. They're working on it, and they have a lot of features that they've been adding and doing stuff, and I give them kudos. But man, they got to update the phone and the TV apps. I don't know what they're doing there. And trust me, I've gone out and looked, and they say it's updated. No, it's not. I don't know what's going on there in that regard. I know what you're talking about, having scenes and stuff in OBS. I can still use it. You right back, goodbye scenes and all those. No. Yeah, no. You can have those in all the different ones. No, what I have is I have different profiles. And so what those different profiles have is they have different settings automatically for like resolution. So like, what's my stream at? Is it 1080p? Is it 1440p? Is it, you know, ultra wide, like 1340 by 1440? And so what ends up happening is when I set up my stream, it'll switch between those profiles automatically, and then that way I don't have to go through and manually change the settings for every stream, because there's no point of me streaming 1440p for the Switch, right? Makes no sense. It's only 1080p, and I could run my PC gaming at 1440, like 250 by 2560 by 1440p. That's what I'm running this at right now because of the PlayStation. But when I'm doing PC games that can support ultra wide, I want to have that because a lot of stuff. Rumble has its own your own stream game. It does, and I have put that in there. There's been times from time to time where I've had issues with the beta key. I don't know why. It seems to straighten it out recently. I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, that's how I have it put in to my OBS. I have that for Rumble, Kick, and obviously Twitch. Yep. And I think I might be technically in the studio. I'm not entirely sure. Let me see here. Is this considered the studio? No, I think that's just a live stream. Yeah, I think that's just a live stream. I'll have to look to see if there's anything special about the studio. It's been a long journey. And understand that I started streaming on Twitch first, before I started doing Rumble. Because at the time, I was just trying to get to affiliate status, which, by the way, I'm still not affiliate status on Twitch. I'm working on it.